Alright, time for another home crafted review. After trying, mostly experimental stuff recently, like that coffee brown ale I did for SJ Pour, um, which actually right now it's kind of tasting kind of weird, and I think it has to do with the fact that I soaked those coffee grounds for like 2 weeks. So, anyway, uh, with all the experimental kind of styles I've been making, it's just time to go flat out for the classical traditional ales, I guess, because I had decided to brew an ESB. So recently I had tried out the Wells Bombardier ESB ale, and there was a clone on there on the internet that I found that I decided I was going to use. I didn't use the Wells yeast and I didn't use the Fuller's yeast. I ended up using the Worthington yeast, which is the WLP013 London ale, I believe. So, well, actually, I have that recipe right here. This time, unlike the last video, I could have done this. London ale yeast, yeah. And it's supposed to be Worthington White Shield strain. So, I think I used, for water on this, I think I used London or Burton, but it's got higher sulfates, but not like Burton level sulfates, so I didn't want to risk that and get a freaking rotten egg beer. But yeah, I carbonated it, fairly mid-range, kind of lowish, because the ESBs are traditionally 1.9 to 2.3, so I think I carved this at around 2.2 or 2.3. So it was about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago I bottled this, so let's give it a try. I have a traditional 9-pint glass, and it was kind of, when I bottled it, it was real green, and it smelled like apples and just, and I've never really had a good experience with the English ale yeast. I've gotten some green beers in the past, but they do smooth out eventually. This yeast is extremely flocculent. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it. It's like this is supposed to be medium or something flocculent, and I've got carbonation sticking to the side of the glass. Great. Anyway, let's get a color on it. It's got a fair amount of carbonation, not too high, but the color, it is quite clear. It's a little bit cloudy, but it's a ruby, pretty much ruby red color. Decent clarity, I guess. I think I've got some hop particulates or something in there. But yeah, it's a deep ruby color. Looks real nice to me, at least. And thought I cleaned this glass well enough. Apparently not. Let's get a nose on it. Traditional English ale. I'm getting some good amount of caramel. I use Maris Otter in this, so it's got kind of that biscuity quality. Still a fair amount of kind of pear and apple, but it's well balanced with the malts. Yeah, so you get caramel, pear and apple, biscuity, a bit nutty. It's pretty traditional, what I would expect, because most ESBs will have that earthy yeast note to them, as well as having the malt notes going on. The clone of this beer, traditional ESBs are basically, I think the Fuller's ESB is just caramel malt and Maris Otter. This one has caramel malt, but it's dark caramel, 120, and then it's got a bit of aromatic and special roast malt from Breeze. I'm not sure if that actually is the real malt they use at Wells, but that's what the clone said. So yeah, it's well balanced. I'm getting I think I used all Fuggles or all I used East Kent Goldings for finishing. So you're getting a lot of that earthy kind of minty herbal note from the hops. But yeah, well balanced, nice amount of hop note. So anyway, let's finally get a taste on it. Yeah. It's lots of caramel and bready notes with a little bit of biscuits. There's a good amount of robustness here. So you're getting caramel and biscuity, kind of nutty, with lighter kind of pear and earthy yeast. Mild earthy hop bitterness on the finish. What I found out was, despite the name ESB, the actual style is all about being balanced as far as malt and hops, and the English yeast does help with kind of drowning out a bit of that hop bitterness, because usually California ale yeast is very crisp and clean, and this is pretty much the opposite of that. Yeah, it's getting a little bit warmer now. The bitterness is there, but it's just really balanced with the malts. There's yeah, impressive. I'd say it's pretty close to the Wells. I haven't had the Wells since probably last year, but I think this definitely fits it pretty well. I'm really impressed with this. Even though when I bottled it, it was real green and kind of fruity. It's really come out again, and I'm sure conditioning always helps. But yeah, just very well balanced beer, very tasty. Yeah, it's delicious. I'd say I nailed the style, as I would expect, being that it's within the style guidelines on the BJCP and all that junk. But whatever. Yeah, decided to try my hand at a classic style and turned out pretty well. I don't know if I want to use the London Ale yeast again, but it's pretty good. I think next time I'll actually probably use British ale. I haven't had much success using Fuller's, and I think Fuller's yeast is just too low of attenuation. Like I brew a porter at like 1065 and it ends at like 1020. So I think I'm gonna try either the dry English ale or the British ale, which have a little bit higher attenuation but still produce maltier beers like they're intended to do. So I'm all for trying out new yeast anyway. But this is a nice strain. It balanced out with some conditioning, so I really enjoy this beer, and I'm glad I still have like a case and a half left. Yeah, caramel biscuity notes with a little bit of fruitiness, earthiness from the yeast, light to medium earthy hop bitterness. With it's just really balanced. That's all I really have to say about it. So nice color and decent clarity. Yeah, it's definitely spot on. So as I mentioned before in the other video, I'm brewing a stout tomorrow, and then who knows? I might plan to do a higher gravity, maybe like a barley wine or something, since it'll have to sit around for a while. For Christmas, I'm actually thinking about starting up kegging so I can have, you know, like a Hefeweizen and like an IPA on tap, and then I'll still bottle like my, you know, Belgian styles and stuff. So, we'll see how that goes. I'll have to see what I need to do as far as being in an apartment space is kind of limited. So I was thinking of doing one of those large college mini fridges or whatever, and have a 2-tower tap thing, or a 2-tap tower thing. So we'll see how that goes. So until next time, happy brewing. Cheers.